Welcome friends of the Crawford to the first CorkAbout of 2021, and we're doing a little session this time on the bridges of Cork, and we're going to stay within the 5 kilometres, and we have plenty of beautiful pictures and paintings inside in the gallery that we will reference and bring you to that connect with all of these bridges that we're going to be physically taking you to on this CorkAbout session. So we're here standing at the recently reopened Daly's Bridge, and this bridge was originally built in 1927, financed by James Daly, who was a butter merchant here at the time, a Waterford man originally who moved down to Cork. And this bridge was at the original ferry crossing that was used by the residents of Shannakeil and Sundayswell up to my left. And they would have come down on the walk and they would have crossed here on the ferry crossing to take them across to the very popular Mardyke walk and on to the rugby grounds that were here. And this was a very popular spot for walkers and for recreational use at the time. And even though the Wellington Bridge was built back in the 1830, this was felt as a more advantageous point for the ferry crossing. So a footbridge was sought in 1908, but unfortunately it was very expensive at the time. So it wasn't until 1927 that James Daly offered the money to fund the bridge. Now in 2012 it was closed, or in 2012, sorry, it wasn't closed. It was deemed to need a serious amount of repairs to the lattice work, as there was a lot of rusting and damage to the cables and to the lattice work. So in 2019, in August of 2019, the bridge was temporarily closed to be refurbished at a cost of 1.5 million. And as we can see from today, it's just recently opened again in December, and it's extremely popular with walkers. And we can confirm that the bridge has lost none of its bounce. Myself and Bernadette had our stomachs reeling from the amount of small children bouncing on it a minute ago. So we're going to take you next to Clark's Bridge. We've a beautiful painting in the gallery by Lady Kate Dobbin, and we want to show you Clark's Bridge next. So we've popped down here to Clark's Bridge, which is one of the oldest bridges in the city, and it was built back in 1766, designed by the architect Samuel Hobbs, and it was to connect Wansford Quay, behind me, to the Clark's Marsh, which was on my right hand side, so hence the name Clark's Bridge. And it's primarily made from red sandstone, but the main arch is from limestone, and these were local stones here in the region. And visually it's probably the same as it has been nearly all along. But just as an anecdotal story, the one thing I'm missing here today is the sense of smell, because as a schoolgirl attending St. Al's around the corner, I remember coming in every morning over Clark's Bridge and on my walk to school, and the one thing that hit me was the smell of the wort from the Beamish and Crawford brewery, which would be started early in the morning and would have your stomach churning by the time you hit your school day. And unfortunately, as we know, Beamish and Crawford's site is closed now for production, so that sense is something that doesn't linger in the air anymore. So we brought you to Clark's Bridge because we wanted to bring a painting to your attention. It's one by Lady Kate Dobbin, and it's the view of Clark's Bridge with glasshouse chimney that we have in the collection, and it's a beautiful watercolour. Lady Kate was born in Bristol in 1868, and she married Alfred Dobbin, who was a tobacco manufacturer here in Cork and also the High Sheriff of Cork at the time. And she went to study art here in the Crawford Municipal School of Art in the 1890s, and then she went on to exhibit extensively with the RHA. So even though the bridge looks the same today, the backdrop behind us has changed significantly from the painting, as you'll have seen the conical shaped chimney in the background from the glasshouse and from all the breweries and that were in the surrounding areas. At the moment it's full of apartment blocks, so it's quite a different image behind it to the bridge that was originally built. We're standing now at St. Patrick's Bridge, which is a very different bridge today to what it was when it was first built back in the late 1780s. So the bridge was first thought of after the recently formed St. Patrick's Street was made, and it was to connect up to the north side of the city. The foundation stones for the original bridge were from the 1789s, and it was the architect at the time was Shanahan. And we're referencing this one because there's a wonderful mesoprint by Thomas Roberts from 1790 in our collection, which shows the original structure, which would have had a portcullis as a toll bridge as such, for collecting tolls for all the boats coming in along right up here to the bottom of Shandon Street for the butter market that was there and very profitable at the time. So we're standing in approximately the location of where the portcullis would have been, and it's fantastic to have that print in our collection because the portcullis was removed in 1824. Then in 1853, the whole structure was washed away in another large flood. And it took until 1861 for the new foundation stone to be laid in the new limestone structure. So Sir John Benson brought in the grandson of Hargrave, the architect who had worked on the original structure back in 1790, which is the one we can see from the Thomas Roberts mesoprint that we have in the collection. So this beautiful triple arch limestone road bridge is the structure from 1861 that still stands today. Now it was reworked upon in 1981 and repointed, but the original workmanship that went into this, with over 100 stonemasons and local stone carvers, is still visible today, especially in these wonderful limestone carvings, the three keystones that you can see behind my shoulder here of St. Patrick, St. Bridget and Neptune, and on the other side of three sea goddesses. This bridge clearly still contributes to the architectural heritage and of the city. So the last bridge that we're taking you to today is the Mary Elms Bridge. So it's the most recently constructed bridge in the city, and it was opened here in September of 2019. And it is a pedestrian and cyclist bridge which spans over the River Lee onto Merchants Quay. And the nicest thing about this bridge is the story behind it and the name, the Mary Elms Bridge, which was chosen by the people of Cork City. And it references Mary Elms, who was born here in Cork in 1908 and who studied in Trinity College and then won a scholarship to study in London. And while there, she helped Spanish refugees in the Civil War, and then went on to help a lot of children escape from the hands of the Nazis in World War II. So the story behind the bridge is quite a beautiful story indeed, and there's more on that in a minute. So we hope you've enjoyed your CorkAbout through some of the city's bridges here today. And just on a funny note, we noticed that there's obviously nothing to connect this to our collection because it is such a new bridge. So that's a challenge we're putting out to you, to get creative, take out your watercolours and send us in your proposals for paintings that should be included in our own collection inside.